This program is financially supported by the fundings from the European Commission.
You are listening to the Ebu Access Cast, the first official podcast from European Blind Union about assistive technology for blind and partially sighted people. And here are the hosts.
Hello and welcome to the Ebu Access Cast. This is episode 19 and I am today your host. My name is Tanya Clout and I have with me Mario Percinic from Luxembourg.
Hello everyone.
Hi. And we have Pavel from Poland.
Hello.
Hi. Bart was not able to be with us today, but hopefully he will join us next time. What's up, guys?
Nothing really as far as gadgets are concerned, but there is a minor yet significant tweak to how the podcast runs now. Namely, since last episode, so the one in January, and the ones onwards will of course have this too, are the chapters, which means that because we have a lot of news for you all the time, there are also demos, interviews, so a lot of content that is always linked with each other, but nevertheless separate items. We thought it would be nice to add chapters so that you can use your favorite podcast player to navigate between the items that interest you. So if you prefer Braille devices over speech synthesizers or PC apps over mobile apps or anything else over something else, you can choose the news that interests you straight away from your podcast player. And from the tests we have done, it certainly works in the Overcast app on iOS, in Podcast Addict on Android, and on the PC it works with Fubar 2000, Media Player Classic, Pod Player and GOM Player. And in all of these apps, you will find one way or another to switch between the chapters, to look at the table of contents. So from now, the podcast is a bit like a book, like an audio magazine. So you can choose your favorite chapter now.
Yeah, it's now like structured similar to the, let's say, Daisy book or something like that.
Yes, unfortunately, for some reason, it probably doesn't work with Podcasts app of iOS, the default one, the stock one. And there is also some problem with Downcast at the moment, but yeah, have a look at your favorite player that you usually use. Maybe we didn't mention it and it actually supports the chapters. So yeah, we will be interested to hear your feedback. And that's the news for the podcast. So
Yeah, that's great. So now people will be able to select the chapter that they prefer from our content. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get any new gadgets for myself, but I have to say for the last few weeks I was testing the newest, it's not completely the newest, but it's the last edition of the Focus 40 Braille displays from Freedom Scientific. It was a Focus 40 fifth gen of their Braille display, and I have to say that so far I haven't seen a better Braille display. And basically it's for the multiple reasons. First of all, I found it that it's really the most responsive Braille displays from all the displays that I tried before.
You mean when you use it as a note taker or with a screen reader?
Yeah, it can be used as a note taker, but I'm talking about the Braille display mode itself. So when it's being connected to the computer or mobile, it's really, really very responsive. I would say it's almost instantaneous. And
with which screen reader?
It works with both. So with both. I mean, it works almost with anything. With JAWS it works automatically, and since it's a Freedom product, and for NVDA you just need to install the driver for it, which you can download, or it comes on the CD for those who still have CDs on their machines. And once you install it, it's really easy to configure it in your screen reader, basically in NVDA, and it's flying. It's really, really good. I have to say that the quality of the dots is very good, and one of the really nice features which you cannot see on many displays is the fact that you are able to adjust the firmness of the Braille dots, which, for example, in my case, is really good because I am a musician and I play a string instrument, so the fingertips on my fingers are a bit harder than, let's say, with the normal. I mean, my fingertips are harder than the normal person has. And therefore, sometimes if the dots are not very, let's say, sharp, it's harder for me to read. I'm slower reader, and I have problems with seeing what's on the display. With the focus, there was absolutely no problem. And the coolest thing is that, for example, JAWS has this feature where you can adjust this braille dot firmness through the screen reader, but NVDA doesn't have it. But you can adjust that internally on the focus through its menu, and when you adjust it, it stays like that for the rest of the screen readers. So it's really cool.
Yeah, interesting.
And the other cool thing is that the device has basically 5 simultaneous Bluetooth connections and 1 USB-C type connection. And switching between the devices is very, very quick. So yeah, I mean, you can connect it with the iOS and Android devices as well if you want to use it, and it's just great. And also the coolest thing is the fact that it's very, very small. It takes very, very small space on your desk, even if you have like the 40 version. And yeah, so it can, you can use it with any laptops. And it's very light. Like the 40 cell version is, I don't know, maybe 400 grams or something like that. So it's really light.
Yeah.
But it's sturdy. It's like it has the aluminum case. It has also support for the SD card, so you can store your BRF documents, which you can read on the Braille display wherever you are. And you can also take the notes if you want to. So it can be used also as a note taker. So yeah, overall, it's cool. And I have to say that the pricing-wise, it's also very good because it's significantly cheaper than the products from the other companies. Yeah,
okay,
so
that's great. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I think that now also Freedom Scientific prepared special videos to show the Focus Braille displays.
Yeah, they do have their Focus webinars, which you can check out. And basically, it's like a short introduction and like the information how you're able to start up with the unit and how it looks. It's informative.
Yeah, I was looking to buy a very small Braille display, like a 20 or less cells. And from what I found is that the Focus 14, is it 14 or 16?
It's 14. I have 14. That one actually.
Yes. You have that one?
Yes.
Okay. So because I found that it is the lighter and smallest from those small Braille displays. The other is from Humanware, the Brilliant, but that one is a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier. But and what is your experience with this 14
It's
Braille?
quite handy. Actually, they even give you this kind of case, probably for the bigger ones as well, with a strap. So you can hang it over your arm or even a neck if you so desire. So it's like hanging on you, and you can all the time pull it out if you need to quickly jot something down on your phone or send an SMS. I really liked the effect it made on people, because I was once asked still at my school to do a presentation for people who are training to be teachers of blind people in the future. And they were shown different kinds of equipment we use, devices. And just as an experiment, I showed them the Braille display connected to my phone. I showed them how I'm reading a book with it. And I even sent them a text message from it. And they were really surprised it came out in regular print, not Braille, on their phone.
Yeah.
But they were really impressed, and it's really handy for this kind of tasks when you need to do something. It's specially designed for the phone, so obviously if you read a longer text, you need to press the cursor buttons much more. And it's so it's much smaller, and it's one of the older generations, so you don't have all the features on board like note taker and all the gadgets. But for mobile phone operation, it's okay. I don't think it's that much suitable for computers, though. You would be quite frustrated scrolling the text all the time. But for iOS or Android device, it's just the right thing.
Yeah, like a portable device. Okay.
Yeah, I know that they've did a lot in improving this last fifth generation of their display. So they are more quieter than the previous ones. Even like the quieter in terms of like when you are typing, the keyboard is quieter than the previous ones, and the overall, let's say, durability of the device is much better. And yeah, what you said, Pavel, for these cases, they give you the cases with all the versions. So with the 40 version that I tested, there comes a case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So no new updates from my side, but I propose to skip to the news. So the first one is from NVDA that launched the release of NVDA 2019.3. It is a significant release because there are several new features and changes and also bug fixes. What is important is that they upgraded from Python 2 to Python 3. Mm-hmm. And this is important for users because the old add-ons will not work with the new NVDA. So it is important to update to the new add-ons if the add-ons were updated to the latest version of NVDA.
Right. Speaking of the add-ons, I would say that probably people that will have most problems with the add-ons are the users who are using NVDA with the other speech synthesizers, specifically the vocalizer ones, because the older add-on version of the add-on and the driver will not work anymore on the newest NVDA. So they will have to update and check if there are new upgrades for their version of the vocalizer. I know that recently Code Factory is basically the one who is like the best provider for that. And basically once you buy the vocalizer and Eloquence add-on, which are coming bundled together, you are getting free lifetime updates, which is good. So once you do that, you are able to use the NVDA 2019.3 again.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, with regards to add-ons, the good thing is that once you upgrade, you are presented with a warning that says your add-ons may not be compatible, so you better check it. And you are instantly directed to a webpage on the NVDA add-ons community where you can check the status of probably all of the add-ons or almost all of the add-ons that are hosted on the NVDA add-ons repository. And you can check if there is currently any development going on or if the add-on was already ported to Python 3. And if not, then there is also the email to the developer given. You can always reach out to them and see if they are up to updating it.
I think that not many people know that there is one add-on specifically for NVDA. It's called Add-on Updater. So what this Add-on Updater does is that once you install it for NVDA, it's checking all the add-ons which you have installed for NVDA for you, and you are able to update them automatically at once. And also when the new versions of the add-ons are being updated, you are being notified that the add-on is updated, and you are being notified whether you wish to update or not. So that's one of the things which people might want to install it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But also the new release of NVDA brings some new features that before were available through the add-ons, like the screen curtain and focus highlight. So now they're there by default in NVDA.
Which is a good thing, yes.
Yeah.
We will do a small demo about it. I will make the small demo and you will be able to hear how these new features are working, because for instance, a screen curtain has to be configured to run because it doesn't have configured shortcut for that by default, so you have to do a little tweaks, but it's something you can do in basically 2 minutes. And we will do a small presentation for that.
And what is also interesting that there is a new release of the NVDA remote add-on, and now again the remote is working in NVDA.
Yeah, it was not working for a while, for like last few months, basically since the beta versions for 2019.3 came out, the old version of the NVDA remote was not functioning. So yeah, it's cool that it's fixed now, and it should work as it used to work before.
Yeah, and also they report several other features or changes. So now also the accuracy to move the mouse to navigation object component is improved in text fields in Java applications. So I think this is for the user experience very important. And also you can now show with the focus highlight the navigation on landmark rows. And you can also navigate through the article tags.
Yeah, though you have to define the key shortcut for that. It's not defined also, so it has to be defined in the input gestures. But it works.
Yeah, no, that's great, because that was possible, that is possible already in JAWS for some time, and now it's possible also in NVDA.
I also noticed that now some new area roles are supported in that it speaks figures.
Yes, it does. Yes,
So
that's
when
one
you
of the things that it's done. Yeah.
We have a graphic bundled with a link, for example, for longer description or for some additional reference. This will be spoken. And also something I really like, that now emoji descriptions are independent from punctuation. And so, yeah, if you want to hear this emoji, to have the context of what people are saying on the internet, it's quite important now, it seems. It's okay to turn it on. It just works when you turn it on independently. You don't have to keep the punctuation level even on minimum. So these two settings are now independent.
Okay, so it doesn't have anything to do with that emoji add-on. No, that was emoticons.
Yeah, that's for insertion. That's if you want to
okay.
put one of your own. But on Windows 10, you don't need it as much either for emoji, because Windows 10 has a built-in emoji panel that you access with, I think, Windows / or Windows dot, something like that. And then you can choose the emoji from the panel there. It's accessible. But in the previous versions, emoji was read. They were included in the dictionary, but you needed to keep your punctuation at minimum, at least. So some of the punctuation should be read. Only then you would hear emoji. And now these two are independent. So you can have emoji, but no punctuation.
Okay. Yeah. Well, today's communication is kind of, emoji based. So it's cool to have this feature accessible, definitely.
Yeah, there is also an emoji for white cane users. So if you want to represent it, if you want to use it for some campaigning, you can also do that, and you can now see who else is using it. So yeah, that works too. A lot of people on Twitter that I follow seem to use it in their usernames as well. And also one more thing, I think we mentioned this already when we mentioned the beta, but there is this new speech API thing in NVDA where the speech can be manipulated programmatically in more ways. So you can tell the code of an add-on, for example, to split the speech into segments or insert some sound in between two utterances of the speech synthesizer, and do other interesting things to customize it more. But why this is important? Because some of the voices that you probably are using, especially SAPI 4 or 5, might work incorrectly. And this is, for example, the case with my Polish synthesizer that I use. It's quite old. It's on SAPI 4, and now because it doesn't retrieve the indexes as it should, it's cutting off some of its utterances. I'm used to it. It's not tragic. I can still use it to the most extent, but you have to watch for this, because maybe your synthesizer will not behave as expected, and that's probably the reason why it doesn't do so.
So, okay, I maybe it's a kind of personal question, but you have also vocalizer for Polish. Why didn't you switch to the newer synth? I mean, why do you still use the older one?
The older one. The problem with the new synthesizers is that they try to be smart, and they try to pronounce English names and foreign names with accents.
Yeah.
And they try to use the dictionaries. And the problem is that especially I got used to reading English, for instance, phonetically. So the way it's spelled, I understand it just fine.
Yeah.
And the new synthesizers, especially So this is one reason. They try to pronounce things correctly and then you don't understand what they're saying anymore. And secondly, for some reason with the vocalizer, for example, or a cappella or anything I tried, if you go to really, really fast speeds, you can't understand it anymore. And while for Polish it still works because you can guess the context, if you pair the speed and the smartness in foreign languages, you don't really understand anything anymore.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So that's why it's just the way I'm used to it.
Yeah, no, but it's true. I have a similar experience with the Croatian text-to-speech, and our vocalizer unfortunately does a lot of mistakes in reading the text, really a lot. So
and what they've done also is that they try to be smart and they edit kind of really really weird abbreviations for the stuff that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So
like some words, like two letters that are words in Croatian, but for the vocalizer, this is abbreviation, and then it reads something that is extended, but it doesn't make sense. Especially in the context, it doesn't make sense.
Or, for example, I don't know. The funny part was like I was looking once at the one computer store to get a laptop for my dad. So I was looking at the HP laptops, and whenever it would find the HP word, it would announce as a horsepower.
For it would be hectopascal or something.
So
true that.
Yeah.
And eSpeak sadly has similar issues because the problem with eSpeak is that it tries to support hundreds of languages at once, but because mostly it was built by non-native speakers, the speech basis. Then you also have some English pronunciation rules every now and then, and it's also hindering your proper reading of your own language.
Yeah. Well. Okay.
But do you have a speech synthesizer for Polish with this now built in Windows 10?
We do have it with Microsoft, but it also has we do have one voice, but I can't somehow get used to it, and it also has a lot of abbreviations that are quite uncommon, or you have to get used to it, or you just want to mentally do your own interpretation of anything that is written without a TTS telling you the abbreviation.
Okay.
And then it's for example, they picked quite funny translation for some punctuation marks, which are not really in common usage, and it just sounds funny.
But there is a possibility of reporting that through the hub.
Good idea.
Because I did report a few things for our Croatian voice long time ago. But I have to say that regarding this Croatian version of the speech synth that comes with Windows 10, it doesn't have too many abbreviations and stuff. It's quite clear in terms of pronouncing the stuff how it should be pronounced. So not too many mistakes. I have to say it runs much better than the vocalizer, which is funny because this one is free, and even it's much smaller in size when you install it. So
I use the Polish voices for some presentation purposes because it's more natural sounding and people like it more. But I think for my personal use, I will still stick with my preferred option. But it's a good idea to report. And of course, if you find any problems with your language back, feel free to report it, and probably the fix will come at some point.
Yeah. And also for NVDA, if you would like to request a new feature or a change or to report a bug fix, you can create a ticket on the Ebu Access NVDA GitHub repository. You will need to have the GitHub account, and then you can request some new features or changes that you would like to see. The next one is Microsoft released the first Chromium-based Edge in January 2020, finally. It was available in beta version already for some time, but now we have the stable version, and it starts with the number 79 onwards. You can get it.
It's already on the 80 right now.
It's already on the 80. Okay. So you can get it in Windows Update or you can download the installer from the Microsoft website. What is interesting when you install it, so it asks you to import the settings from the other browsers, and Google Chrome is also there. So
Right.
this is something that you couldn't expect before in Microsoft Edge. Then what I experienced is that NVDA immediately crashed, because at that time I had an older version of NVDA. And then I started JAWS, and also JAWS crashed a few times. So it is really important when you update to the new Chromium-based Edge to update the screen readers to be sure that it works correctly. And then when you install it, it works really fine. It works it is much faster from the old Edge, the response time. And also what is interesting is that it takes much less resources in the task manager. You can see that comparing to the old one. So I tested on mine by opening just Google, and then I checked, and it was like 90 something megabytes for the new Edge, and before it was more than 200. Yeah.
I installed it on my machine as well as the standalone installer, and it gave me just a few things to configure it before, like import the stuff from the other browsers. I'm still using Chrome, but I have a feeling that since now the Edge is like Chromium based, it runs very, very similarly as a Chrome should, and it's really now with the new version of NVDA and the last JAWS updates as well. It's really fast and snappy. The coolest thing is that now all the controls are visible in terms of like you can see all the menus when you press the Alt key.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of things which are a little bit different than the Chrome, because this is Edge, but since it's Chromium based, there are many features which are the same as were in Chrome. So I would say that it's finally the Edge came up with something that's finally working with the screen readers properly.
Yeah.
Because before that really wasn't the case, and now they finally improved on that. And what we will also include in the show notes regarding the Edge is the additional link where you can see also all the shortcuts which you can use for the Edge, and you can see all the stuff related to the accessibility of the Edge itself. And I have to say really huge thanks to Microsoft. You can see that they really are continuing on their accessibility policies very seriously, and that's really, really nice to see.
Yeah. And also there are plenty of keyboard shortcuts, and you have the list also on the Microsoft website that we will put in our show notes. And as you said, some of the menus are similar to one in Google Chrome. For example, now the settings opens in a new tab. It's not as before. It was in Edge, like a menu.
Pavel, did you test it?
No, actually not yet. I'm still quite happy with my Firefox and Chrome combination, so I didn't really test it, but I will have to now after what I heard from you. But I was wondering, does it support, or does it plan to support also the Chrome add-ons, or this is only Chrome specific?
Yes, it does.
Yes,
it does already?
Yeah, it does.
You can have extensions. I didn't test it on my side any, and I wonder how many there are already available, because I guess it will take some time because
I didn't test it either, but I suppose since they are Chrome, since it supports Chrome extensions, I wonder if it goes to the
it's Chrome Web Store or something like
Chrome Web Store, or it goes to the Microsoft one.
I don't know, because I saw that I can add extensions, but I didn't test it on my side.
But that's something we should test it. for the next release and tell you. But it does work with the Chrome extensions, so that's good.
And probably it also means that now the support for Chromium, I don't know how it worked before, but the support for Chromium will be on much higher priority with Narrator.
Probably yes.
That's
probably
good.
yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Chromium, that's like a side note which we didn't really include, but as an interesting fact, Chromium also started in recent versions being accessible on Linux. So if you're on Linux and Orca and you use the Canary builds of Chromium, you can use already the Chromium-based experiences. And if you have a particular app that is based on Chromium and it doesn't work on Linux, you can let the developer know that they should update the Chromium base, and it probably will be accessible from now on.
Yeah,
that's good.
And also, as you said before, Mario, for the text-to-speech, that you can provide feedback to Microsoft. You can also provide the feedback about accessibility and New Edge. And if there are any issues that you're experiencing, you can inform them, and hopefully it will be solved in the next release. In January 2019, Microsoft started the Accessibility Learning Webinars series based in 12 parts for customers with disabilities. Many customers with disabilities ask for more training and also for more resources about the Microsoft products. So they decided to provide webinars with demos for some of the Microsoft applications. Okay, so which applications are covered? So Narrator was one of the topics of one webinar, and then also Magnifier for low vision users, and the new Office ribbons, which now maybe are not so new, but it depends which Office you are using. Also Outlook and Excel and other applications like OneNote, SharePoint, etc. I don't know, Microsoft Teams and Xbox for Xbox or Xbox? Xbox. Okay, I'm really not a gamer. Xbox for gamers. So what is interesting is that during the webinar, they explain the menus and functionalities which you are even maybe not aware as a regular user. So you really may discover something new. And during the webinar, they explain which shortcuts, and they are using Narrator so that you can follow in which menus they are currently in. So this is great because it's really done in a way that is fully accessible to us. But not only to us, because it is meant for all users with disabilities. So
I would say that it's not only for users with disabilities. I would say that it's also important for teachers who are working with students with disabilities. So they should be also informed how to do that.
Yeah, there is
also it's very good for trainers as well.
Yeah, there is also a webinar specific for education, for teachers.
Okay.
For education purposes. Even though I just watched like few minutes of that one because I'm not working in school, but I was just interested to see what are they presenting. But they have really plenty of good webinars there. So the webinars were available to everyone, and after, so it was going live.
Like every month. Because they had like 12, so I suppose it was like every month.
Yes, every month. And then later it is available on archive through the YouTube channel.
Okay. So people can watch it whenever they want.
Yeah. And what was great is that after the presenter showed the application, it was possible also to ask through the question and answer section anything that you would like to ask about that application. However, the last webinar was done now in February on Excel.
Oh.
And it is possible to ask or to suggest the new topics for the new webinars because I hope it was not really the last webinar. It was the last from this 12-part series. I hope there'll be other one, because it was really a great way to present the new features of Microsoft products and to learn about them. How I discovered these webinars. So it was interesting because they included also one webinar that was provided to Microsoft employers about creating accessible PowerPoint presentation for persons with disabilities, and also how to present it in a way that for your audience it is accessible, so that during the presentation you don't exclude anyone. And it is really a great presentation. It is mostly for persons who are presenting their content and are not aware about what they can do to provide more accessibility in PowerPoint, and also to include everyone in the audience. But I also learned some functionalities or some things that are available there in the PowerPoint 365, and that you may use for accessibility purposes.
It would be interesting if they actually hosted once a webinar on how a blind person can prepare an effective presentation by themselves. That would be really, really needed, because I've seen already some courses of how to do it. I will have to follow them. I found one, unfortunately, only in Russian, so I guess I will have to concentrate really hard to understand it.
I have to say that, sorry for dropping in. I've seen those ones that Tanya mentioned from the Microsoft. Not all of them, but I've seen a few. And I have to say that they are really done very, very professionally. And in the same time, while it is prepared professionally, it is done in the way that, everybody could understand it. And I don't think that after watching these webinars, you would have additional questions. I mean, you can always go back through some sections if you didn't remember, but the webinars are very self-explanatory. So
I have to say that the one that I mentioned now, so presenting inclusively with PowerPoint, was very helpful to me to prepare a PowerPoint presentation that I did at work. It was really helpful because I discovered some things that I didn't know, why this is happening, why this is read in such way, and that also I can change it. Unfortunately, I don't have 365 at work, but at least some of the functionalities were there. I have it.
And there is also some explanation on, for example, how to position objects in the space on the slide so that you can have them like displayed intuitively for your sighted audience, or this is not included?
This is not included, but I know that JAWS reads the inches.
And VDA does as well,
okay. So then I guess this can be a reference point.
Sure.
Of course, you have to know all the parameters where should be. If there are maybe more objects, this may be more difficult. But also what you need to be really aware all the time is that when you press... So when you are in slide mode and then you press escape and you would like to edit a part, it is important to not forget to press the F2 to edit if you are using the keyboard. Because if not, you will move the objects on the screen. And this is something that happened to me a few times. Because, of course, you press escape, you tab, and you focus in the section that you would like to edit. And then automatically you're pressing arrows to find the part that you would like to edit. But before you have to press F2. Sometimes the screen reader does not say anything when you press arrows. But in fact, you're moving the objects on the screen. So you really need to be very well aware what is happening. And I don't say it's really easy, but with this presentation, it's for sure it was much more easier for me.
Okay, let's say like this: the whole experience with the Office applications, including the Office 365, is a huge set of tools. And if somebody, no matter if you're blind or people without any disabilities, if you haven't used those tools, you need a training material. However, these webinars from Microsoft are definitely helpful. As Tanya said, I have also seen a few, and they are really, really helpful. I have to say again, huge thanks to the Microsoft, because they've done a good job.
Yeah.
And the possibility of that you can, review those webinars and rewatch them whenever you want on YouTube is just fantastic, because you have the material on disposal basically whenever you need them.
Yeah.
Next!
No, it's not next.
Why not?
Because this was now the last webinar in February, and you can suggest a new one going on the Microsoft Feedback Accessibility forum, and you can suggest what are the features or applications that you would like to be covered. I can already suggest Microsoft Edge Chromium. I think it would be very useful, even though it is very intuitive, I think, especially if you're using Google Chrome. But maybe this is not the case for all users, and I'm sure that you can discover some features that maybe are not visible immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that it's a valid point that you made, because I know for sure that there are some people who just still are stuck on
Internet
Firefox.
Explorer.
Oh yeah, still on Internet Explorer or Firefox. And Chrome in that context is a bit different browser, though it's, it does the same thing. Let's say the look and feel are a bit different. And I can imagine that some people would struggle with them. So yeah, the new webinar for that would be cool.
Yeah. What I saw on the forum is a new feature that was requested. Maybe not for a webinar, but hopefully if this will be once included, maybe it will be also a webinar. But a user asked the remote desktop access for a narrator, because narrator should be able to support the use of the remote desktop. And this is something really that I think we need anyway with any screen reader. And this will be a great feature, that we don't rely on extra add-ons, or that the other user really needs to use the same screen reader that you're using. So I think it will be really necessary.
Or maybe even any screen reader at all, because Microsoft, I guess they would have the potential to build the technology where you, for example, log in with narrator via remote session, and the other party doesn't even need to turn on the narrator on their side, and just the accessibility APIs of Microsoft will be used to read the content from the other computer. I guess
I'm not sure that's possible. I would think that the narrator would have to be fired up on the other side, because you need to have the response back to get the information.
But it doesn't really sound. It could be, for example, just a DLL that fetches the accessibility text and passes it to you, or something like that.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as they make it and it becomes the standard feature of the Windows Remote Desktop, that would be great, because
for sure, yeah.
You know already that all of us had the situations where you would have to fix somebody's PC, or let's take it even more into the employment space, and let's say that if the narrator once becomes compliant with the remote desktop, then a blind person who is skilled enough to do the administrative kind of work could just use that as a tool. And that's a great thing when you're working in the corporate environments and so on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will be introduced at some point.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
and probably it will arrive with some new version of Windows 10, because that's usually how the Microsoft distributes these kind of things.
Yeah, if it arrives. But in the meantime, You can post the suggestions, or also you can vote for the one that you like. So I propose to everyone to vote for this request. Raspberry Pi supports the Orca screen reader now.
Ew! Raspberry Pi, that's something to eat. Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, Raspberry Pi basically is the name for the low-end hardware devices, which are very cheap and they don't have like too high specs. But that's because just they are made like that. So they're like single board machines, which are 32-bit machines with not too much RAM, and they're not too quick, but it's not their main intention. It's the fact is that the Raspberry Pi has its own. There is a operating system called Raspbian, and that operating system is based on the Debian Linux distribution, which is one of the oldest Linux distributions that exists. And the whole operating system itself, the Raspbian exists since 2012, but so far it didn't have the accessibility features built in. And in today's Linux environment, the Orca screen reader is, when we are talking about people with visual impairments, is one of the screen readers that's been used the most. So right now it has the initial support for the Orca. And as they say, it works in most of the packages. In Linux world, the packages means applications. So that's just kind of small translation. So it does support most of the packages. Some of them are not supported. And there is a list of the apps which does not work for the moment. And they're saying that the Chromium which is also now available for Linux, is not supported yet, but it's on the plan. It will be supported in a few months. So if you want to use any additional browser for the Raspbian, you have to use Firefox for the moment. But once the Chromium becomes working and it gets the support for Orca, then you will be able to switch it to that.
Mm-hmm.
I see right now they're saying that the whole thing regarding the Raspbian is based in English, so no other language is covered, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But I see that this kind of, since the whole philosophical thing behind the Raspberry Pi is meant that it's, first of all, it's for the experimental usage, and second of all, it's really, really cheap. I see the potential of using such devices a lot in third world countries, such as the lots of African countries, and possibly also like in the countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and so on, where the blind people are really not in the position of getting the very expensive hardware devices. So it's cool that this came along. That right now the Orca works with it, and if there are some of you who are experimenting all the time with the various Linux distributions and such, I know that there are some blind people really who are geeky and who are doing that. Let us know if you get your hands on the newest Raspbian with your Raspberry Pi. How does it go?
Yeah, and they are also planning to make further improvements on accessibility, and it started as a collaboration with AbilityNet. So it is a collaboration with them, and we can expect further improvements on that in the future.
Yeah. If the AbilityNet is involved in that, I'm sure that they will also have some workshops in the UK, because they are based in the UK. There will be workshops, especially probably for the kids, to see how this stuff works. So that's nice.
Yeah. The American Printing House for the Blind comes with the new products. And before announcing the new products, I think it's worth mentioning that CodeJumper now is finally available for purchase. I don't know whether this is also available for Europe, but then I guess it will be a matter of time when it will come also here. Because till now it was available on different events, but now it is finally available for the purchase.
Yeah, I know that I've seen that they started some distribution and presentation of that in the UK. So it's slowly coming to Europe. Yeah.
And then for the products, there are 4 of them. There is the embosser, or actually 2 of them.
Pix Blaster.
Yeah.
And Page Blaster, they call them.
Yeah. And this is a collaboration with Humanware and Vue Plus. So with this, you will be able to print text and also tactile graphics.
Yeah, that's really good for schools and for any institutions where you need to engage the explanation of the pictures. So that's cool.
And then I guess it will work with their software.
Yeah, it will support the Braille Blaster and all the rest of the tools. Yeah. And they say that it will be compatible with PC and Mac and all the mobile devices. So because it will have those embossers will also have the Wi-Fi built in, so that's cool.
Yeah. But I wonder what will be the price, because for the moment it is
no price is announced.
Only announced, and no prices. So we'll see.
May
because
find out at
usually
CSUN, you never know.
Yeah.
Probably yes.
Yeah. Because usually the embossers are very expensive, so it will be great to see if this is something cheaper from what we have already. And then the next product is magnifier. Okay. I don't know if I can speak about it, because anything that I say about magnifier can be wrong.
I think it will have a guided system, like a speaking TTS-based menu system where you can go through.
Well, they say it's gonna have built-in OCR, which is cool.
It is combined with OCR.
Yeah.
It says.
Yeah. It's a kind of handheld device with a 7-inch screen, and it can be on its own stand. And it has audible menus, so that means that all the functions are being spoken when you.
And there is also the Chameleon 20 refreshable braille display, which main purpose is for education for kids in schools.
But the features on that are really, really nice, I have to say, because it will be able to support lots of different formats for the documents, like all these BRF and editing the dots files, doc files, and
docx and
TXT and TXT files. It will be able to connect to the internet, including the support for Bookshare, which is not so relevant for us in Europe, but still, it's a nice feature. It will support connectivity with all the screen readers, and there will be a calculator, clock, file management of the internal storage, Wi-Fi, as I already said. So it's cool. Lots of new features. I would say if this becomes really reality, we are going to see the new generations of the displays.
And the other Braille display and Braille note taker that they are now launching is the Mantis Q40, which is a refreshable Braille display with 40 cells plus with a QWERTY keyboard.
Yeah, and it has all the features as well from this Chameleon.
Yeah.
So they're saying that it's a cool device for people who are even wanting to use this device at their workplace. Which I could see that it could be used.
Yeah. Even though from my personal experience, I think usually it's better. I prefer to have a Braille keyboard, like Braille Perkins keyboard because it takes much less space comparing to the QWERTY keyboard. And then I wonder, for the QWERTY keyboard, you would need to be able to switch from one keyboard language to another if you are
they
typing.
said that it's going to be possible. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But this is something that you have to take into account.
Sure.
Okay. I propose to go to the next topic, online shopping. And there is a study from the Scope research team and Open Inclusion organization. They done a study about the inclusivity and accessibility of online shopping. And as we can expect, the results are very poor. So they've done a table with different questions regarding groceries. People said that at least 39% of the online shops were not accessible. But from my experience, it can be much more. But I guess also it depends on the country and region from where you are. Maybe in your country there are some stores that are more accessible and some others less so. But this is a study done from organizations in UK, where maybe the situation is better from some other countries, but still it is not very good. It is still very poor, the accessibility. Then for the trains and transport tickets, people said that 38% is not accessible. Clothing, 36%, and food delivery, 30%. Then there is the hotels and bed and breakfast also, 26%. Even though, I don't know, from my experience, it's rare that it is accessible, any of them. And then also for entertainment, sport and leisure, from their study, it is accessible 25%. I think 25%. And what they wanted to show with this study is that persons with disabilities are also consumers, like all the others, and that companies should invest much more time and money to make those services accessible, because they can also earn money with customers who have a disability, which is clear enough, but what we are experiencing every day, it's the opposite. So hopefully this study will bring some things forward, and this is the first part of the study. There will be some others coming up.
Yeah, because often when we think of booking hotels or buying or doing shopping, we often think of these big aggregators. If you want to shop for some items, you go on Amazon. If you want to book a hotel, you go on Booking or Airbnb. And there, if you probably look at those big players, you see that they are probably more accessible than the websites of some single endeavor of a single company somewhere out there. And maybe that also could increase the factor in a little bit for some segments. But yeah, it's probably true that if you want to buy, for example, from an individual shop because you want, I don't know, the company to earn the entirety of what you pay with no intermediary companies in the middle, it may be that you are failing to complete the purchase because this individual shopping website is not accessible. And this is quite interesting because a lot of times these web pages for companies that basically earn money on the internet are built with specific CMS or some other tools. And quite often all of the issues would be solved if this company that provides the platform for the shop or the hotel fixes their back-end code or front-end code, so that the hotel, they often don't even have to do that much in the end to accommodate disabled customers, because if they're mostly the website is done for them. So if the platform that is used for building it is accessible, there is that much less work to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as Tanya said before, this study showed that the situation is definitely not ideal. Okay, this applies for the UK, but definitely it can be applied for any other countries in Europe, as well as in the States. Okay, maybe in the States the situation is a little bit better, But still, this really shows that the companies should be taking care of basically better inclusion overall.
A part will come with the Accessibility Act, because now e-commerce will need to be accessible.
Yeah.
But it will take some time.
Yeah,
with this study, we raise awareness not only by legislation, but also because it really gives benefit to shops and to companies by providing accessible services.
Yeah.
Okay.
And until then, we will always hear the questions like, do I have to do this? What is accessible? And
how many are you? That's the most interesting one, because it
yeah,
often
that's
comes up like, what
that
kind
always
of
that always whenever you have any kind of meetings, the first question is like, for how many of you do we have to fix this?
Is
for two.
it only for you?
Man, yeah.
Even if you give them numbers, it's still like a fracture of what they usually earn off the global market. So then, okay, it doesn't really pay off. I will not earn much of you.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
But it is true that services that are accessible, it will be more accessible for everyone, not only to persons with disabilities.
Absolutely.
So this is the truth that most often they're not aware. And also, when people get older, maybe with some time you earn disabilities. So, also in that case, a webpage that is accessible will benefit really all users. But I would propose to go to the next topic, which is the last one for this episode. And it is about Envision glasses. So now you can have the same experience that you have with the Envision application on a mobile phone with the Envision glasses.
Yes, and this is a new product that is, it's not actually available yet, but the pre-orders will start soon, exactly during the CSUN conference in March. But already now, if you are an organization that deals with accessible technology, assistive technology, and the market, you can already pre-book an event or ask the Envision team, who are located in the Netherlands. So perhaps for some of you, it's not that far really. At any rate, it's in Europe. So it's quite possible that they can come to your event and present for your target audience what the glasses can do. They tested different things, different glasses models, and they ended up choosing Google Glass Enterprise Edition second. And they managed to build a working prototype where all of the features that we know, both offline and online from the mobile application, are available. The glasses have a speaker, have a touchpad that you can use. Actually, they had to modify TalkBack because by default, it's not supported on Google Glass, so they had to build their own modified TalkBack to make it possible for blind users to handle the interface. And you can use this glass set, the whole infrastructure, to use Envision AI without actually touching your mobile phone or even using it or having it around, which is quite comfortable when you're navigating in space around you, and you just want to read some text as you pass, or you would like to scan some QR codes on products in the shop, and so on. What they are also thinking of doing is, first of all, testing some new glasses so they can offer different options. But also, they want to work on some new features. One that is definitely in the pipeline is the video calling of your friends or family, of somebody you might want to request visual help from. So that's definitely a great thing, because we still don't have ERA in Europe, like globally, and there is, I think, no similar platform that offers a glass perspective experience on video assistance. The price is the most interesting part, because it's not finalized yet, but the estimates are that it will be between $1,000 and $1,500, which is around 920 euros to 1,400 euros. So much cheaper than, for instance, Orcam, which offers a similar experience. And yeah, they will be at CSUN. I hope they will be at Side City. I don't know, but it would make sense, I guess. And then more of us here in Europe could see it, see with the glasses.
Yeah.
And yeah. good luck for the Envision team. And what I really liked about this article that they put on the blog, and you will also find the link in the show notes, is that they actually go down to the very specifics of how they build the product. So it's not really like this typical business advertising that we have built a revolutionary product and so on, but they basically tell you, we have tried this did work, we have tried that didn't work, and we will try as much as possible, and as long as we are not satisfied, we'll not release it for you. And they are even going down to presenting the specification, linking to the Google website, so you have this sort of insider view of how the product is built. And you can see that they really want to build a nice working product, that they are using technology that already exists, but they just want to put their software expertise on the hardware that already exists. And I find it honest, and I think it's a great tactic to attract more customers.
Sure, yeah.
I wonder, though, how it will get the connectivity. Will it be through Wi-Fi or cellular? Because I guess it will need the connection for the video phone calls.
Yeah, it does have Wi-Fi. Google Glass is equipped with this. And also for exchanging data with your phone, there is a Bluetooth on board. So I guess that's what you will probably use. Either you will pair it with your phone to get the connection, or you will use some public Wi-Fi hotspots, depending on your choice. But the significant part of it, so the recognition modules are also working offline. So you can count on that as well.
Yeah, and then I guess the languages will be similar as the one that you are already able to use on the mobile phone application for OCR and for...
They didn't say that, but I guess yes, because if they are using the same code base, I guess that is already running on Android, then yes, I think it will work fine. And I can tell, as I'm using the Pro version of Envision AI, this is so far the best app I've used for at least instant recognition of text, because compared to other ones I tried, it will take some time to recognize, so you will only hear every second or two that there is something detected, but it will try to read text. It will not try to guess, it will not insert some punctuation marks in the middle, it will not read some like gibberish. It tried to guess, but it didn't manage. It will read as much as it recognized. And it can even detect languages, so it happened to me already that it switched automatically the language of my Google TTS to the appropriate one, and it read the label or something I wanted to read in the right language, because it saw it's something else than what I usually use. And now they also introduced this new modes with the document scanning mode. I think they are using now multiple pages, so you can scan page after page, and you can export it in some new formats. You can definitely import PDF for recognition with this. So yeah, I think it's quite a strong suit, especially if you put it on glasses, and I'm quite curious to see the effects.
Yeah, I wonder if there will be, for example, for users who are already using the Envision AI Pro, if there will be some kind of discount or whatever, because, yeah, eventually they said also that there will be like a monthly subscription and the lifetime subscription.
This is for the mobile application, but is it for the glasses also?
For the obviously you need to have it paired with their software, and so I wonder if this software, which will come additionally for the support for the glasses, will.
They said everything is included in the price. They said.
Okay.
So I suppose it's hardware and software unlimited use. Maybe you can negotiate it. If you already bought the Pro version, they can give you a discount by the price of the software. So you just buy the glasses, and they maybe some additional fee for them programming them to work with Envision AI. But this is not anything they put on the webpage, so I guess this will come at a later time.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to request it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was the last topic for this episode. Stay tuned with us. Please send us your comments via Twitter or on our email. And see you next time.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Demo time. Time for a demonstration.
Welcome to the demo part for our Ebu Access Cast. And today we will be very short, because the things which I'm going to show you can be done very quickly. But it can be also very useful. So what are we going to show today is the ability to turn on and off the screen curtain feature, which is now becoming a part of NVDA 2019.3. The thing about the screen curtain is that by default, this feature is not assigned to any of the key shortcuts, so you have to define this key shortcut manually. Alright, so let's see, how do we do that? So I will press NVDA plus N.
NVDA menu.
Choose Preferences.
Settings. S.
And go to the input gestures.
Input gestures. N. Input gestures dialog. Tree view. Braille collapsed 1 of 25 level 0.
Now we are in the tree view with multiple settings which we can define for the input gestures. But the one which we need is called Vision. So I'm gonna press V.
Vision collapsed 24 of 25 level 0.
It says collapsed. That means that there are sub-items inside, so I'm gonna press my right arrow key.
Expanded. 1 items. Level 1 toggles the state of the screen curtain, enable to make the screen black or disable to show the contents of the screen. Pressed once, screen curtain is enabled until you restart NVDA. Pressed twice, screen curtain is enabled until you disable it. Collapsed 1 of 1.
Okay, so this was the short explanation about what this function do. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna press Tab key.
Add button Alt plus A. Pressed. Unavailable. Tree view. Level 2 enter input gesture. 2 of 2.
Alright, so it says enter input gesture, and I'm gonna choose for myself the NVDA and F11 key.
Context menu.
And now it comes the context menu. Why? Because there are multiple options which we can choose. The first one is
NVDA plus F11, desktop keyboard, N. NVDA plus F11, keyboard, all layouts, N.
So we can choose between desktop keyboard and all layouts. I'm gonna choose for all layouts and press enter.
Input gestures dialog. Tree view. NVDA plus F11, keyboard, all layouts, 2 of 2 level 2.
And that's basically it. Now I can go to
Add button Alt, remove, reset, OK button.
OK button.
Coke free MP3.
So now that we got our keyboard shortcut configured, we can go to see if everything is set as we want. And we can do that in the NVDA menu.
NVDA menu.
We go to the Preferences.
Settings.
And Settings.
S. NVDA settings. General.
And then we go under the category Vision.
Vision 4 of 20.
So we can see what's here.
Vision property page configure visual aids. Focus highlight grouping. Enable highlighting checkbox checked Alt plus E.
It's the stuff for the focus highlight. I enabled it.
Highlight system focus checkbox checked Alt plus C.
That's also related to the focus highlight.
Highlight navigator object checkbox checked Alt plus O.
This as well.
Highlight browse mode cursor checkbox checked Alt plus M.
This also.
Screen curtain grouping. Make screen black. Immediate effect. Checkbox checked.
This is the feature that we want. So it's related to the screen curtain. It says makes the screen black. Now it's checked, so we know that it's on. Let's see what's next.
Always show a warning when loading screen curtain checkbox not checked Alt plus S.
Always show warning. Well, I like to have this feature off, and you probably also would want to have this feature off because it's a bit annoying, so you can turn it off.
Play sound when toggling screen curtain checkbox checked Alt plus P.
Play sound when screen curtain is activated. That's a feature which you also might want to have it, because if you can't see the screen, this is very useful. So I have it turned on. It's checked.
OK button.
And here is the OK button. So I press OK.
Coke free MP3.
And that's all. We should be able to test this feature. I'm gonna test it when I press NVDA plus F11.
Screen curtain disabled.
It's disabled.
Temporary screen curtain, enabled until next restart.
Okay.
Screen curtain disabled.
And if I press it twice quickly.
Screen curtain enabled.
we can hear that screen curtain is enabled, and it will stay enabled as long as I want, even if I restart the NVDA. So I hope that this demo was useful for you, and see you in the next demo, in the next podcast.
Thank you for listening. This has been EBU Access Cast.